Care. I'm Andy McCall, the LBC 97.3 Travel Centre. Still problems in Blackheath, Lewisham Road. It's shut southbound from the A2 Blackheath Hill towards the Conington Road at the Tesco's turn after an accident. Queues backing along the A2 back over Blackheath towards the Prince of Wales at Light. M25 clockwise, half a mile after Junction 5. There's a breakdown earlier on. Still looking at the delays through Junction 5 at Sevenoaks. For the trains, First Great Western improving again, Paddington to Reading. Services at Moorgate still up to 20-minute delays because of congestion. Keep another moving. Next travel update is in 15 minutes.
LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Ferrari at breakfast.
Good morning, 5 minutes after 9 on Friday, December the 13th, and it's not just me, of course, this is your opportunity even to phone Farage. Yes, UKIP leader Nigel Farage, and calls already coming through, but I'm just going to steal a moment of time, if I might, Nigel Farage. Thank you for coming in, because, as you know, this is televised. You can get on lbc.co.uk, that's lbc.co.uk, and see Nigel in the studio here with me, and there's quite a bandage around your throat. Is everything all right?
Yeah, I had a very bad plane crash 3.5 years ago, which some might remember, which was a rather unpleasant experience, and I'd already had a small sporting injury in my neck when I was younger, but basically fractured vertebra, in a bit of a rotten state, compressing on my nerve. I've been in pain for, well, really 3 years, really? But it's getting worse and worse and worse, and it just got to a point I just couldn't bloody move, frankly. So I've had, clever how they do it, they go through the front,
yes,
and somehow they remove 2 discs at the back of the neck, and they then replace them and bone graft them and put you back together.
So you've got quite a healthy scar on your shirt collar line, have you?
Yes, that's right.
For life, that will be there, presumably.
I know, I'll show it to all the girls.
How long were you under the knife, Nigel?
2 hours, 20 minutes was the operation.
Oh, right, okay.
But I'm still on fairly strong painkillers and things like that.
And what about, have you got your senses? I mean, how's your neck? Where's the pain?
The real nerve compression was on the right arm. And
I see.
For the first week afterwards, I was a bit scared because I literally sort of get a glass of water in front of me and couldn't get it to my mouth. But I'm beginning to get function back.
Right.
But not much strength. And so what I'm going to have to do in the new year, once this is all fixed, is I'm actually going to have to take the physiotherapy seriously and really do it.
Right, okay.
And get myself strong, and that's what I intend to do. And because I need to be fit, because there's a big battle next May.
I knew you'd take every opportunity.
Which I'm looking forward to.
You still feel in a good place about the elections next May?
I really do. And I think, 19 days from now, the borders to 29 million poor Romanians and Bulgarians come down completely. 80% of the public are enraged by it. They do not want it to happen. And the best we get is Ian Duncan Smith coming out overnight saying, oh, well, unless you learn English, we won't give you benefits. They're flailing around. They're desperately trying to show the public they want to be tough. But the reality, and this is what's hitting home to people, is you cannot decide what to do on benefits. You can't decide what to do in terms of immigration if you're governed from Brussels.
Well, they're already being sued by the European Commission on other matters. Why wouldn't they be prepared to be sued on this as well, Nigel?
Yes,
Farage?
I mean, we have something that is called the right to residency test, which basically means that you have to turn up and say, I'd like to come and live in England and work, and then they just tick the box and give you an NHS number. It's hardly taxing. The European Commission don't even want us to do that. They just think you should just walk through the door automatically. So we are being taken to court already.
So we could be taken for court on 2 reasons, surely.
We cannot, as members of the European Union, discriminate against people from Romania and Bulgaria from the 1st of January next year. And in fact, the Bulgarian ambassador put it perfectly in a radio interview last week. He was on with Paul Nuttall, my deputy. He said, look, we're part of the same country now. And it's actually time we recognise that. The European Union, this isn't a trade club. This isn't the common market. We're in a political union with these people, and we have to treat everybody the same. They're the rules of the club, Nick, and that's why I want to leave the club.
Just before we take the first call, Frank, you're going to be up first. Final question from me. The weekend, and sorry to hit you with this as you're recuperating, but I know you're made of strong stuff, but UKIP were in the firing line yet again. This was one of your members, Victoria Ayling, in a 20-minute video that was played out on the Mail on Sunday website. She talks of immigration, she talks about restricting the number of foreigners entering Britain, and adds, "I just want to send the lot back, but I can't say that."
Well, that was about context. What she was talking about was, as she said, I'm desperately struggling to put into words what the Conservative Party's policy, because she was a Conservative when she made that video, remember that. I'm desperately trying to put into words what our policy is, because I'm not really sure what it is. And she was saying that illegal immigrants and asylum seekers that fail the test should be sent home. And you know what? I think she's 100% right, and I stand by her completely, and I think the Mail on Sunday have taken her comment out of context. There was nothing unpleasant, nasty or racist in what Victoria Ayling said, and I'm standing behind her 100%.
And lastly, you sent an email to members or supporters saying, quotes, "It's not always clear who we can trust." What's that mean?
Well, what I mean by that is that, in this case, she was stitched up by her own ex-husband. So the walls have ears, and I'm just saying to UKIP people, be sensible. Don't if you're in a position of some responsibility in this party, you've got to behave with due decorum.
Why are they treating you like this, Nigel?
They're scared witless. I mean, look, in the Labour Party, the Tory Party, the Lib Dems, they've got all sorts of odd, weird people all over the country that say and do all sorts of weird things. Politics attracts weird people. The trouble is, UKIP is threatening the establishment, and anyone that does anything slightly out of line in UKIP is going to get hammered. So I'm under no illusions. I know that between now and next May, the establishment are going to try and make my life as tough as possible. But I also know that an increasing number of the British people are saying UKIP's policies make good common sense.
Let's talk to some of those people. Frank's in Winslow. You're through to Nigel Farage. Go ahead, Frank.
Yes, good morning to you both. Merry Christmas to you both.
Morning.
Congratulations to you, Nick, for the well-deserved Academy Award.
Thank you very much indeed. It means a lot.
My pleasure. You really brighten people's lives up.
Thank you. Your question to Nigel.
Two very quick questions. Number one, Nigel, where do you stand on HS2? And number two, why do you see the future, if you coerce with the Conservatives, being without David Cameron?
Right, HS2. We have a real problem in this country with our railways. We have undercapacity. The trains coming into Paddington and Waterloo are at overcapacity. We have 150,000 people who stand in cramped and not particularly safe conditions coming to work in London every single day. Do you know the railway line from Paddington to Penzance now takes 5 hours and 20 minutes, which is slower than it was before the First World War. We've got huge railway problems in this country. We've got an increasing population. We need to invest money in more capacity on our railways, which is why we should not blow 50 billion plus on a line from London to Manchester that only takes 2% of the total rail travel in this country. All right, so Frank, I hope I'm clear about that. I'm pro-railways, but this project swallows up far too much money to benefit too fewer people.
And the other question, the Conservative aspect, and David Cameron.
Well, I mean, Mr. Cameron and I don't really see eye to eye on, well, anything really. There is this idea out there, Frank, that UKIP takes Conservative votes, and that if UKIP do well, Miliband will win the next election. Well, we are currently undergoing some very extensive polling, which we're going to be releasing next Tuesday. And it's really going to stun people, because it's going to show in that most of our target constituencies, the vast majority of our votes are not coming from Conservatives. Yes, we get Conservative votes, but we're picking up huge numbers of old Labour votes from Birmingham and northwards. But we're also picking up a lot of votes from people who have given up voting completely. So the idea of vote UKIP, get Miliband is wrong, and there are now some marginal seats in this country where actually the only party that could beat Labour is UKIP.
Quick response from you, Frank.
No, as you say, you're getting people back online who had lost hope.
That's right.
That's the difference.
That's
people
right.
who'd given up because they thought the three-party regime, as much as we are a part of it, was actually falling apart. There was no hope for people who'd gone through 1-2 generations in this country and the people who followed on. But now they're saying, well, somebody's talking my language.
All right, Frank, thank you for the commendation. We'll talk again soon. And indeed, thanks for your kind words about the show. Steve's in Stevenage, appropriately enough. You're through to Nigel Farage. On you go, Steve.
Yes, good morning, and congratulations from Stevenage to you too as well, Nick.
Okay, mate.
Very well done.
Thank you.
A question to Nigel. Thanks for taking the question. With the advent of the recent pizza chain owner asking to recruit people from overseas to help his recruitment process, do you think the simplest solution would be just to ask Domino's to pay a little bit more money so that local people can actually take on those jobs?
As far as London's concerned, the answer is yes, because you see, the minimum wage in many parts of the north of England isn't actually too bad. It's not great, but it's not too bad compared to the cost of living. The minimum wage in London, frankly, doesn't get you very much. And I have to say that we've got big employers in this country, like Domino's Pizzas. We've also got the largest minicab firm in London, who I'm not going to name, because, on Nick's big day, having been given the award, he doesn't want the lawyers coming down on him. But and these big companies are taking on huge amounts of cheap foreign labour. All right, the upside is it's good for their profits, it's good for their shareholders, and I accept that. The downside is these jobs at a reasonable price could and should be done by British people who are finding themselves on the unemployment scrap heap. And, I look around and we've now got 1 million 16 to 24-year-olds unemployed. And a lot of them look listless. A lot of them look like they've almost given up on life.
But a lot of Romanians are working in the coffee shops and in the restaurants and elsewhere, Nigel Farage. Why do these Polish kids do it and British kids don't?
Well, in many cases, there's no argument that some very good, hard-working people have come from Romania and Bulgaria. And if we need people to work in the pizza shops and coffee shops, then let's give them work permits. Let's give them time-restricted work permits. What we're actually doing is we're saying, please come in, take a job, bring your family, use the NHS, use the education system. I think our people are getting a bad deal. And I think what Domino's Pizzas has said, frankly, is an insult to young British people and older British people who want to have jobs but just expect to get reasonable pay. And, wage compression over the last 10 years in this country has been astonishing. Working people, they've got rising bills at home and lower income, and that's because of open-door cheap immigration, and that is not good for the people of this country.
All right, we have to take a quick break. More calls to Nigel Farage in just a second, and his view, of course, on the extraordinary amount of coverage and BBC staff sent to the funeral of Nelson Mandela. What does Nigel Farage make of that? Find out after this.
LBC 97.3.
We wish you a mini Christmas. We wish you a mini Christmas.
Here at the Ministry of Finance, we're delighted to bring glad tidings to the whole nation. Yes, festive offers on the entire range of minis. So why not pop some performance engineering in your stocking? Nip down to your local showroom and give yourself a mini Christmas and a thrilling new year. Finance from Mini Financial Services, subject to status, UK only. Guarantees may be required. Conditions apply. Ministry of Finance has no links to the government. Ho, ho, ho.
For that stylish kitchen, for that designer bathroom, for your dream home, visit Elite Tiles and Interiors. At Elite Tiles, we offer a huge range of tiles, wood flooring, exquisite bathrooms, state-of-the-art kitchens and granite worktops, all at low, affordable prices. And with our exclusive kitchen and bathroom design teams, find everything you need under one roof. Elite Tiles, massive choice, fantastic savings. Visit Elite Tiles and Interiors at Staples Corner near Brent Cross or call 020 8202 1806.
We'd been running a large toy company since 2004. As businesses go, it wasn't all fun and games. Last year, we needed to increase our stock of handmade teddy bears for the Christmas rush. That's when we spoke to Carol, our relationship manager at Lloyds Bank. Because she knew our business so well, Carol approved the finance for us quickly, and we got the whole teddy bear deal sewn up. And guess what? We soon cleared our entire stock. A bit of an early Christmas present, if you like.
Lloyds Bank. For the moments that matter. Lending subject to status.
I'm Andy McCall, the LBC 97.3 Travel Centre. Better news from Blackheath and Lewisham Road open again, going south. So a full opening now. It's good news for you from the A2 Blackheath Hill towards Conington Road. It was after a serious accident earlier on. Still delays though back over Blackheath towards the Prince of Wales traffic lights. M25 looking a lot better clockwise to and through about Junction 5 at Seven Oaks. For the trains, first Capital Connect at Moorgate, up to 20-minute delays because of congestion, and similar delays on South West trains, Twickenham to Waterloo. Waterloo and City Line has minor delays as well. Keep an eye on them moving. Next travel update is in 15 minutes.
This is LBC 97.3.
If your teeth stop you from smiling or enjoying your food, false teeth aren't necessarily the answer. Dental implants look and work exactly the same as real teeth, and at TDC implant centres, a whole mouth can be restored in just one day. This means you avoid the wait and much of the discomfort associated with traditional implants. So to eat what you want and laugh when you want, call TDC Implant Centres on 0800 012 2086 or see smileinaday.co.uk.
Don't miss the festive fixtures coming to BT Sport. On Boxing Day, we've got our first double-header with West Ham versus Arsenal, followed by Liverpool away to Man City. Then set your alarm for 3 p.m. on New Year's Day as Southampton take on Chelsea before Manchester United face Tottenham. If you just can't wait for these, join us on Saturday the 14th of December when Man City take on Arsenal, all exclusively live on BT Sport. £12 a month on the Sky digital satellite platform or free with BT Broadband.
UK residential customers only. Online requires 400 kilobits per second. BT Broadband for new customers from £10 a month plus £15.99 line rental. 12-month contract and terms apply. Sky platform requires 12-month contract, and if you don't have BT Broadband, a £15 activation fee.
Hi babe, I've got the flight details.
Hello?
Oh, sorry, rubbish signal. I'll try another room. Can you hear me now?
You're still breaking up.
I'll try out the window. How about now?
A bit better, not brilliant.
Oh!
Holly, what was that?
Call you back, babe. Just need to ring for an ambulance.
Even when you can't get a perfect mobile signal at home, you can always hold a clear conversation with a Panasonic cordless home phone. For calls that matter, talk Panasonic.
Snooker's prestigious tournament, the Masters, is returning to Alexandra Palace. Can Mark Selby retain the title against 16 world-class players, including Ronnie O'Sullivan and Ding Junhui? The Masters, January 12th to 19th. Book tickets now at worldsnooker.com/tickets.
LBC 97.3, London's biggest conversation with Nick Ferrari at breakfast.
And you are phoning Farage, as in Nigel Farage, UKIP leader. Nigel, as you were recuperating fairly extensive surgery, you might not have been aware of the fact that Nelson Mandela died, although if you're watching the BBC, precious little else has happened. More than 100 BBC journalists gone over there to cover the story. Your view on, of course, their coverage and the passing of Mandela.
Well, Mandela, extraordinary chap. I mean, that speech that he gave when he came out of prison after 27 years is one of the most remarkable speeches we will see in our lifetimes. You know, I mean, it was to come out and forgive people who've treated you so appallingly in a spirit of wanting to change and modernise South Africa. That was astonishing. I never met him, but I've spoken to people who did. And, you know, a most amazing charisma, sense of fun, you know, and he put South Africa on the map. Fantastic. But we shouldn't also forget that there were some troubled pasts, and he did take the violent road, for a period of time. All right, you know, I'm not condemning him, but I'm just saying you need to have a balanced approach to the life of anybody. We've all got good and bad sides to us. I felt the coverage of the BBC was completely over the top. Yes, it is the passing of a remarkable bloke, but let's be honest, he was 95 years old. He wasn't, you know, still in office. I think the amount of time and money that was spent on eulogising Mandela, on virtually saying that he was a modern-day Jesus Christ, was wrong, because we've forgotten there's another real hero in this, and that's F.W. de Klerk, who went against his own party, who went against much of public opinion in South Africa. He was the man that ended apartheid and opened his arms to Mandela because he trusted Mandela. He knew that prior to Mandela, black majority rule would have meant communism. But de Klerk saw the moment and he took it. So I don't think the Beeb have given us a proper, balanced view. Yes, by all means, you know, cover it, but it's been done too extensively. And what on earth our Prime Minister thought he was doing at a memorial service, cuddling up to Mrs. Kinnock, and perhaps listeners don't realise that the Prime Minister of Denmark is Mrs. Kinnock, posing
Stephen
for
Kinnock's wife, of course.
That's right. Yeah. You know, posing for a selfie. Goodness only knows. Wasn't very dignified.
What is your view of that selfie that also, of course, includes President Obama?
I'm just astonished that any of them should think that that was an appropriate way to behave at a memorial service.
Number 10 has said, well, it was a celebration of the man's life as well. There was music and there was some form of dancing even.
Well, when I go to a funeral, and I've got a big one next Friday of a great mate of mine that's died, and we'll go to church, and in the church we will be reverential, and we'll pray, and we'll sing the hymns, and we'll listen to the eulogy, and we'll smile a bit, and we'll shed a tear, and then we'll go to the pub, and then we'll dance and sing and have some fun, and there's a time and a place. But I felt that was inappropriate.
Denise is in Stanmore. You're through to Nigel Farage. Go ahead, Denise.
Morning, Nick, and well done.
OK, thank you.
Nigel, good morning.
Good morning.
Before the last election, I phoned through to the number given on, when I looked up your political party, to ask about your foreign policy, not just Europe. There's the rest of the world. I'm still waiting for an answer. I phoned a couple of times.
OK, well, what do you want to know specifically? Here we are. You got the leader. What do you want to know, Denise?
Well, OK, Middle East. Want to know Middle Eastern policy.
Do you know,
Israel,
on the day,
Palestine.
On the day that the House of Commons had the Syria vote, we paid for a poster truck to stand outside the House of Commons saying UKIP says no to bombing Syria. I would like to think that we had a fair influence on some of those MPs in marginal constituencies. Denise, I'm not a pacifist. I'm not a lefty. I felt it was entirely right to fight for the Falklands. I felt it was entirely right in Kuwait when Saddam went in to take military action. But I have opposed virtually every single war and intervention since. And I find the attitude of the Blair government, Brown, and now Cameron, that we should just, as soon as we can, given the opportunity, bomb Tripoli. And they were on the edge, of course, of bombing Syria, not really understanding who the opposition were. I do not want us to have a foreign policy that is based on excessive military intervention. As far as the Middle East is concerned, I do have strong sympathies with the Israelis. I know they don't always behave very well, and much of what has happened in the occupied territories is wrong, but I do believe Israel has the right to exist, and we need to understand that they are surrounded by states who actually want to wipe them off the face of the earth. So it's a very difficult, delicate issue. But one last point, if I can. What I really want is I want Britain to have a proper voice in the world, because at the moment we've got Baroness Ashton increasingly representing us on foreign policy. Well, you can say what you think about it, but I'm for once going to be reserved. But the other great thing, Denise, the other great thing that brings people of the world together is trade. If people trade with each other, they don't fight each other, they don't hate each other. And Britain, and with probably the fifth or sixth biggest trading nation on earth, Britain doesn't even have a seat at the World Trade Organization. We've surrendered that to the European Union. So I want us to have a big positive voice in trade. I want us to stop intervening militarily the way we have. And I want the special relationship to be America. One, when they say jump, we don't ask how high, we actually evaluate whether it's the right thing to do.
I had a lot of meat on the bone of foreign policy there, Denise. Thank you. Kevin in Sidcup, you're through to Nigel Farage. Kevin.
Good morning, Nigel.
Good morning.
I just wanted to ask your opinion about the 11% pay rise for MPs. Just wanted your thoughts on it.
Well, I think that pay comes with responsibility. I think we would all accept that people that have very responsible and very important jobs should be paid well. No sane person would oppose that. But if you look, Kevin, at what's happened over the last few decades, the House of Commons have actually given away their ability to legislate and govern this country to somebody else. And now 75% of our laws are made in Brussels. So I would suggest a 75% pay cut for all MPs. And if we did that, I reckon we'd have a referendum pretty quickly, don't you?
I think you're probably right, yeah. just quickly as well, I've never voted before, and I actually can't wait to vote UKIP. They're just they seem the most common sense party that I've ever seen.
Well, Kevin, thank you. And as I was saying earlier, that the most exciting thing about my job is I think we're re-engaging people in politics, and that I think is good for the whole process.
Paola's in Cricklewood. Paola.
Yes. Hello, Nigel.
Morning.
I just wanted to ask you. I have tried to get some information from the UKIP party about what you envisage if let's say there was a referendum and Britain withdrew. What are your sort of domestic policies? What would you envisage as a political entity once
Yes,
England...
no, that's a perfectly fair... Well, point one is we start concentrating on being a global nation, not a European nation, and we do that through extending our trade relationships, and I'm struck that the Commonwealth is a very good place to start that. As far as domestic policy is concerned, we very strongly believe that one of the biggest social mistakes made in this country was the wanton vandalism and destruction of hundreds of grammar schools in this country, which gave working class kids the opportunity to have top educations. Do you know, there are only 25 MPs in Westminster today with working class backgrounds. A few years ago, there were over 100. And we're seeing right through society, the rich, the privileged, that go to the private public schools are now dominating every walk of life to the detriment of the working classes. And on economics, I'm afraid we've got to get real. All this business in the autumn statement about how well we're doing, we are still borrowing £110 billion a year more than we're earning. We are going to have to create wealth in Britain, and we are going to have to cut back the size of government. And some of that will be painful, but it's going to need to be done.
Time for one more. Prabha in Ilford. Prabha, you're through to Nigel Farage.
Good morning to Nick and Nigel.
Good morning.
Nigel, I got a question. If you're our next Prime Minister, and how you will compare the Commonwealth with the European Union? I know you are very much anti-European Union, but how are you going to keep the Commonwealth as a Great Britain leading part of the Commonwealth?
Well, I think the Commonwealth is something we massively undervalue. 54 countries, 2 billion people. There are now countries applying to join the Commonwealth that were never even part of the British Empire. So there are parts of Africa and the Far East that see the Commonwealth as having potential. I would like us to turn the Commonwealth into something where we could actually forge together a trade deal. And I think by doing that, we'd bring ourselves closer together. And frankly, when you really think about it, when this country was in trouble in the past, it was the Commonwealth that came to our aid. Every family in this country has got a relation that lives in India or Australia or Canada. We're kind of a big extended family, and I would like to make a lot more of our Commonwealth links. And I'm not anti-European, but I am anti-European Union, just to get that point clear. One last email and one final question from me. This is from Rachel in Barrow. Yesterday, Nigel Farage, I asked Nick Clegg if he'd ever smacked his own children, or had he been smacked himself after Mary Berry said it was all right. Mr. Clegg didn't answer the question, will you? Did you smack your children? Yes.
It's okay to smack your children?
Of course. Of course. I think a slap over the back of the legs if they've been, really rude to you and really behaved badly. I think a smack over the back of the legs... I'm not saying it cures all problems in the world, but I think just every now and again, children need to have just a little bit of fear of their parents. Now, I'm not talking here about child abuse and beating them up, but a whack over the back of the legs occasionally.
And what would it take? Being lippy?
Consistently being lippy or rude or unpleasant,
And what about you? Were you smacked as a child?
Oh yes, oh God, yes, and at school, of course. When I was at school, we still had the cane, so I know the drill. 9 o'clock outside the headmaster's study, exercise book down the back of the trousers. I've been there.
Have you ever had a selfie taken? Have you ever done a selfie?
I did one on a train the other day.
You didn't do one with me? Will you do a selfie now in the studio?
Nick, we can do a selfie if you like.
Yeah, come on then. Right, here we go. Let's do. We're all set up. Come on, let's move. This is. I've only ever done one before. Here we go. This is. I hope you can all hear us. Where we go. We got it! Nigel Farage, thank you very much indeed. Recuperating, we look forward to talking to you Tuesday. Good luck with those figures as you publish them. Good luck with your recuperation. Good to have you on board. Nigel Farage here on LBC 97.3, where news is next.
A stringent new test challenging the English skills of migrants is being rolled out at Britain's job centres. Those who can't speak the language